we are today making our Q&A video at last. We are so sorry that it took so long. Things happened and we couldn't film it before, but here we are.
It's happening now.
Yeah.
And we're a really random collection of people as well. Like, Jannika was supposed to be here, who's the other creator slash producer slash executive producer slash writer with me, but she couldn't be here today, even though she lives in Scotland.
Yeah.
And today, I mean, right now she is in Finland, but she couldn't be here. We've got some great other people, like our set assistant slash actress Viviana Irving, and
Hello.
a producer, set designer, and casting, what's it called?
Director.
Casting director, Mimosa Jaskari. And
Yes.
my name is Laura Kunyaga,
Yes.
and I am God.
Yes.
So on Tumblr we were asked about any tips or resources for creating web series.
Plan. You don't need a lot of money, but you need a lot of creativity and trust each other. You need to you need to work with people that you can rely on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that is really like what makes the whole thing fun for me is trying to find creative solutions for problems.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you don't have a budget, like we originally we had zero budget, and then eventually we got funding from like an organization that gives money for art projects. The whole first season, because it's already been filmed, the first season was almost entirely wrapped before we even started putting out episodes. So it's not impossible to do stuff without any money.
Yeah.
Like we wear our own clothes, we borrow clothes from other people, we borrow equipment from people, and like you should see the stuff we do with the lights sometimes. Improvising is it's a lot of fun. Do that. You can do a lot of things without money. We're really lucky with is that because it's Anne's first year doing a video blog. She's inexperienced vlogger, so it didn't matter that sometimes we couldn't use the best cameras, etc. etc.
Yep.
And we're really lucky also that we got funded and got our own camera just in time when we started. We were gonna have to start filming the second season and the third season that are supposed to be look a little bit more skilled.
Yeah, planning is important. You should really put thought in how things are going to happen, and something's going to go wrong. Always.
My god.
Always.
Oh my god.
And it happens on professional scale too, so it's nothing to worry about. But like,
Testify. I mean,
yeah.
there hasn't been one filming day that didn't go wrong on one level.
Yeah.
Starting from things like, oh, we forgot that we won't have a camera, to the point where me and Tuule were filming one of the Q&As the other day, and obviously we were on a tight schedule because those need to be filmed like on Thursday and they come out on Friday because we need the questions from you guys.
Yeah.
And a kid put some glue into our lock. Like everything else went fine. Everything else was planned so like with such detail so nothing would go wrong. Then a kid went and put some glue into our lock so that we couldn't get into the apartment where we filmed. And at that point we were just sitting on the floor and laughing because it was just so unbelievably unfortunate that it was just funny. Like anything can happen. Being able to deal with crisis situations is a really important skill, really.
Yeah.
I think you've mastered that skill pretty well so far.
Probably you're not doing this full time, so you're gonna need a lot of people. If we weren't able to go, sorry, I can't do this even though this was my job, can someone else take this from me? We wouldn't be here today.
Yeah. Which books do you want to adapt?
The original plan, this plan has existed since forever. This has always been the plan. And even if we only had one viewer, we would have still done it. Is to do the 3 books because it makes a story. Because I mean, obviously, there's 9 books of Anna Green Gables, and it's one person's entire life.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna be old enough to play a 40-year-old Anne ever. I mean, one day probably, but you know what I mean. And also, I'm not young enough to play an 11-year-old Anne. So we took the first 3 books because they make
like a cohesive storyline.
Yes, exactly, because it's from the beginning of Green Gables until the end of Green Gables. Obviously, Anne is still Anne of Green Gables afterwards, but she's engaged in the 4th book and she doesn't live in Green Gables, and it's like a new phase in her life. Yeah. So it's like the Green Gables years are what we're concentrating on, and we're kind of pushing them into 3 years.
And the next question is about season and episode. So yeah, we are having 3 seasons.
Yeah, all of them are gonna have approximately like it's episode per week minus like summer breaks and other breaks that we're gonna have. So it's gonna be approximately 40 to 45 episodes per season.
Are we gonna see new characters?
Like
yes.
Ever? Yes, yes you are. Like Gilbert Blythe. Like you are gonna see him eventually.
Yeah. Is it a challenge for you to write scripts and film episodes in English?
Writing is not as much of a challenge. Like sometimes we have to research stuff like how like spelling and things.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty fluent in English and so is Janika, so it's not
very
really,
much so.
Like I use English for writing, creative writing in general anyway. We also have a Canada consultant. We have a girl, or I actually don't know if they're a girl. A person, sorry if I misgendered you, on Tumblr who we always send these asks like, how does the Canadian Santa Claus visit? Does he come through the chimney as well? Kind of things that we need, like cultural references, and they help us with that.
Yeah.
But they don't want to be named, like they never wanted any credits or anything, so that's why you can't find them in the video credits. The writing is not so much of a challenge. The speaking, however, is still, even though I've been an exchange student in New Zealand for a year, and I mean, she's fluent, but she's the only one who's fluent. So it's like...
No, but you do fine.
Yeah, but it's still I still sound like I have a hot potato in my mouth. Like when I speak English like this, I feel like I speak very good English. Then I play it back and I'm like, what?
Finnish people basically usually have very good English. Like we start
generally,
we start very early studying English, and we don't like dub TV shows, so we hear English all the time.
Yeah.
But what is a problem is that Finnish is so different, like pronounced.
Yeah. We've had multiple occasions when there's a word that we wrote out and it sounded cool and it sounded like something the character would say, but then in the end, while filming, the actor had so much trouble saying it, including me, that happens to me all the time, that we had to change the word, and that's no problem. It's just something that happens sometimes. And also, that's why like we didn't even try and create Canadian accents, because doing that on top of trying to act in a language that is not your mother tongue, and trying to learn your lines in a really tight schedule, it would have just taken like concentration from the actual acting and the actual character and the actual role. So we just went with our crappy accent.
Yeah.
I hear that it's sometimes pretty hard for you guys to understand some of the things that we say, which I do understand, Jesus Christ. But we are working on the subtitle thing.
Yeah.
It's just that we need to find someone who has the time to only concentrate on that one project, because all of us multitask. None of us just does one job. So
how did you cast the actors?
Sorry, I'm eating banana chips.
That's fine. Yeah. Someone who you thought would be just perfect, or
before Mimosa joined the crew, like the original 4.
Yeah.
I had to check that I actually gave up 4-leaf clover. That would be Anne, Ruby, Jane, and Diana. Were casted by me and Janika only because she hadn't joined us yet. She started doing casting jobs because we were like, we can't find a Gilbert. Can you please find a Gilbert? And she went out, and she did. I promised that I would like build a shrine for her if she found a Gilbert for us, and she did. Yeah. But she still hasn't given me the picture to put in the shrine. Originally, should I just go character by character? I was like, I'm creating a show. I'm a black actress, and I'm not gonna have a lot of say. And I mean, I'm gonna eventually, if I ever become an actress, a real one, I'm gonna have trouble finding roles in general. So now that I'm creating a project myself, I'm going to take my chance and pick a role. I went through every single character, and then I realized that the person I really wanted to play was Anne. And I was like, I can't be Anne, she's ginger. And then I realized that the world limits me enough and I should not limit myself. And also after that I realized that the whole natural hair thing would bring so much more into the story. We were thinking of doing Anne, Emily of New Moon and the Blue Castle with Janika. Because of the whole natural hair thing, we decided to go with Anne.
Yeah.
So that's how I casted myself. I was willing to let other natural haired girls read for the role, but none showed up, so I got to keep my roles. We put up posters in our school, and we also sent messages in like casting Facebook groups and stuff like that.
And I think there was one in like the school messaging system as well.
Because
I'm a diligent student, I saw it.
We originally looked for people from our school because those would be people who would be close by. So but actors, I think we did originally send out a casting call in like on Facebook because there's different casting groups on interested actors on Facebook and stuff. But eventually all of them ended up being from our school. No, Vivian and Jutta, what am I talking about? Sorry, I'm so sorry. Vivian and Jutta showed up in the casting thing. They both read for Diana. And so did Sarah. Sarah I asked to come because she was my friend beforehand as well. When I first got the idea, in my brain, I always saw Sarah as Diana. Like from the very beginning when I imagined scenes before I wasn't even in Finland at the time. I was still in New Zealand for my exchange year. In my brain I always saw me as Anne and Sarah as Diana. So I asked her to audition for Diana because I know that she's a really good actress and also I know that she loves Anne. Like that's one of the things that we bonded over back in first year. So all three of them read for Diana and all three of them were selected to the second round of casting. And so we had this situation where we liked all three of them. Viviana was a little too... Serious is not the right word, but we were really looking for a really haughty and like lovable and like overly friendly Diana. Like she is a lot like that in the book. So we were like, okay, we're gonna ask Viviana to read for something else. Sarah and Jutta were the two. It's not that I didn't like Jutta, but because I had this image in my brain about Sarah being Diana, she would have been my pick. But Janika was like, from an outsider's perspective, because she doesn't have as long of a relationship with the books, she liked Jutta more. Because I couldn't really decide between the two of them. We went with Jutta because Janika thought she liked her as Diana better. Because Sarah she is really good.
She is so good.
I wanted her to read for Ruby and Jane because we had one casting for Diana and then we had another for Josie, Ruby, and Jane. Viviana was there, but she only read for Ruby, and she really wasn't the Ruby. I remember being in the shower washing my hair, and I was like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. I like these three. We're gonna have Jutta for Diana. Then we're gonna have Sarah for Ruby, even though she didn't read for Ruby. And then we're gonna have Viviana for Jane, even though she didn't read for Jane. And let's just hope they're all okay with it.
Yeah.
It worked out.
It's so
amazing.
Good. Yeah, it's amazing.
Like, because I have read the books, I am familiar with the books. So I felt, because I hadn't really even considered Jane as a role, because somehow, I don't know, I somehow missed that. I was like, what? When Lara contacted me with the role of Jane, I was like, yeah.
I was like asking like everybody I knew, like, do you know any boys who'd be interested in this? And she just started sending me numbers of her friends. And then we had chemistry reads with few of them.
Yeah, they all read for Gilbert.
Yeah. And Otto was perfect Charlie, and we just cast him.
Like, we made him read for Gilbert for a second round. He wasn't a Gilbert, but he was great in general. Charlie's role originally was just gonna be opening the door in the party scene. That was all he was gonna do.
Yeah.
And then we didn't even make him read for Charlie. There really wasn't, like, we had a characterization for Charlie, but there wasn't really any lines for him. And I was like, well, we've casted this kid, so I was like, write him some lines. Then he just came in. Freaking nailed it. He was so perfect, and our minds were completely blown. So we just now we just try and add him everywhere we can. Our Fred also read for Gilbert, but we were like, well, he's a Fred.
Yeah. Then there were like new
New casting calls.
Yeah, and then
This guy showed up.
when they had their chemistry read, like I remember I was just smiling because I was like, yeah, I like that guy.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the
Gilbert.
chemistry read was great.
It was
He was
amazing.
great. Now we've properly teased you for our Gilbert. How do
Yeah.
you feel?
But
Yeah.
I've seen Gilbert and I've been in episodes
Yeah.
with Gilbert and I
It's
know it's
amazing.
great, so I think
Yeah.
Now
everybody
we're
should like it.
hyping him up and then he's gonna show up and
You are
everyone's
like,
that's not Gilbert. That's not Tanner Gilman. That's not Jonathan Crombie. We don't like him. And we're like, but we love him. I'm really anxious about
Yeah.
Gilbert, not because I don't trust the actor, because he's great, but because he needs to be so freaking perfect or all of you will hate us.
yeah. We have cast few more characters who are going to show up later, but like yeah, we had casting calls on Facebook groups.
Movie magic. Jutta is here.
Jutta is here! She is!
I am here! When did you decide to adapt Anne of Green Gables and how long it took to prepare everything for production?
I was still an exchange student in New Zealand. I was in New Zealand for the year 2014. I was in a Shakespeare festival in Wellington. I met the Nothing Much To Do people. They were there doing PR and they hadn't yet started publishing the episode, and I felt like watching a web series. So I rewatched LBD and then I was like, it would be so cool to one day do something like that. And then I was like, well, I'm going back to a school in Finland, that is full of people who want to do different production things. So why not gather a crew and do it myself? And because I had met Nothing Much To Do peeps, I kind of felt like it was possible. In the autumn of 2014 or the summer, I can't really remember. And then I sent a Facebook message to my friend Janika, like I told you, and we were like, let's do it. And we started making the plans. Like immediately that day, I wrote like a plan, like a timetable thing for our filming. And then I came home in December and we immediately started like putting stuff into motion. We asked people to join our crew and started doing the casting. By March last year we started filming.
How do you decide what gets
Modernized.
modernized and what doesn't?
Like the challenge that I created for myself was to basically just take Anne of Green Gables like this and then imagine it's on a computer screen and you click on it and then you drag it to another direction. Pretty much everything gets modernized. And sometimes we like hide little references to the original text in the writing. The things that would make sense in modern context, they stay that way, and the things that wouldn't get changed. Even the changes in the characters that you might see throughout the thing are purely because we feel like that is what they would be in modern context. I reckon even if we just took Diana from the books and put her in modern context, she would be more like Jutta's Diana, because like Diana isn't shy, or I don't think she is. Yeah. Of course, there's different. Everybody has their own opinion, but I don't think Diana's shy or like quiet by nature. She's just following the behavioral rules of her time.
Yeah. What's your most favorite episode to film, play, or write?
Well, I've definitely liked being in because I'm essentially. Like all the episodes that I'm in tend to have quite a lot of characters in them, so it's always fun filming with everybody else because there's a lot of interaction going on and that's fun to do. But I think in particular I really enjoyed, though it was a grueling experience, I really enjoyed the filming of The Lady of Shalott and the behind the scenes material for that.
So cool.
It was so cold. It was stuck in like, well, it was like -15 and -20.
Yeah. Today I was lying in the snow. Well, it wasn't as cold, but because I wasn't wearing any fucking clothes.
And you were lying on the ground.
Yeah.
It gave me as a cast member a kind of feeling of accomplishment and purpose to be able to kind of work through all of that, and the material that we filmed on those days I thought was really good.
And you got to vlog.
I got to vlog.
There's gonna be a behind the scenes section.
Definitely Lady of Shalott is one of my favourites, and then some of the stuff that hasn't been released yet, and you'll be seeing that later.
My favorites were the party episode. It was so
Oh
much
yeah,
fun.
that was so much fun.
But it was so hot while we were filming.
Like working in weather extremes.
And my other favorite is an episode with Anne that has not come out yet. There isn't an episode that I would dislike, but as an actor, one episode was especially difficult for me. It was the episode when Gilbert had said something very, very racist, and I had to laugh at that joke. It was, you probably remember, I just couldn't laugh.
I actually, that's funny because that's one of my favorite episodes. First of all, I feel like the acting is particularly good in that one. I liked writing it as well.
And another reason why it's probably also one of my favorites is because it was so well modernized.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's the first thing I wrote for the show.
Yeah. Always when you see a new actor on a role, it's so like
Yeah,
interesting and fun. I love those episodes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have a few episodes that I like more than the others. Like the party episode is one of my favorites. It was one of my favorites to film. It's one of my favorites to watch. It's also like I didn't write that episode, but it's one of my favorite pieces of writing. It was a really nice day with friends in general. I like the Dicks Will Be Dicks episode. I can't remember if filming it was any fun. I don't know, but it's one of my favorite episodes to watch. It was one of my favorite episodes that I've written, and it was also the first one because that's kind of what set the tone of the things. The first episode and Dicks Will Be Dicks are the first ones I wrote. I also like I like a lot of the episodes where there's a lot of people and where we're outside. I also like to watch the episode, and it was fun to do as well, but I like to watch the episode with Sarah and the sleepover episode.
Oh yeah,
with the raspberry juice, because that's mainly improvisation.
I don't like the raspberry juice.
Yeah, she
it's
doesn't.
so sweet.
That's why, because people were saying it actually looked like Anne was drinking more of it than Diana. That's because she tries to avoid drinking it because she doesn't like it. I like the filming moments when we have we have to be extra creative for something. Like the time she created a moon.
The Mandarin skull.
The Mandarin skull. Because we were like, this episode is kind of boring and we need something more to this. Well, my top 3 is the party episode, Dicks Will Be Dicks, and Diana, You Have to Tell Them What Happened, Barry.
Are you all Finnish?
Yeah.
I have a dual nationality. I'm also British, so...
Yeah.
But
we're all Finnish.
We are.
Who typically writes the poetry for the series?
Everyone writes their own character's poems.
That was the answer we were looking for.
The submissions are by you guys, and then there's the one poem that Anne performed in the school concert and the hotel concert episodes, and that was written by me and Janika. There's one episode with poetry in it, and the poetry is by Ellen Montgomery.
Did Laura actually cut her hair for this, or is she pinning, braiding? No, and the answer is...
I would not, like, I mean, if you have natural afro hair, I'm not freaking gonna cut my hair, even for this show. It takes ages to grow. I think, or I reckon, Anne's hair is gonna grow faster than my own hair, because, the pace your hair grows depends on the person, and I want Anne to have a little bit of a longer hair than she has at least by the 3rd season. Yeah. And I couldn't grow it that fast because my hair grows really, really slow. So I just basically braid it and pin it and cover it for most part.
Yeah. Also, we don't film in chronological order.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
That would be difficult.
That's probably actually the biggest reason.
This wasn't actually for the Q&A, but because it was the question was asked so close to when we were supposed to film the Q&A, I thought we include that one. And the question is, when are we going to see Gilbert?
Well, when we upload an episode with him in it.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
We're not gonna tell you.
No,
that's the point.
This is the final question.
Dun dun dun!
What do you think was the hardest part of the Green Gables story to adapt?
Well, we still haven't adapted all of it. Sometimes things might seem like we've actually strayed quite far from the original text, when we really think that we couldn't be true to the text any other way. For example, the whole pill thing. Yeah, but you guys seem to like the pill thing.
Yeah.
We were writing the episode and I was like, Janika, what the hell are we gonna do about the brooch? And she was like, I don't know, I'm just gonna come up with something random. She came up with something random, and that is the one thing that people usually refer to when they talk about how, like, when they compliment our modernization.
Yeah.
I think the brooch thing was one of the hardest things to adapt. Also, we were kind of panicking about the whole short film thing, but then we just delegated to the person who actually wrote it, which would be our camera woman, Tuulia.
Thank you, Tuulia.
Because I was like, I don't want to do this. Well, this might be a little bit of a spoiler, so if you don't want to hear it, close your ears. But in the second book, in the second season, there's the freaking cow thing. The thing with the cow and Mr. Harris.
Oh, yeah.
The cow thing was hell. We came up like 16 different ways to do it, and then we found fault in every single one of them, and we're like, how the hell are we gonna do this cow thing? And we found a way.
Do you have anything to
That's
add?
it, folks.
I could talk about Project Green Gables for like days.
Yeah,
so.
but we could make some
live stream.
live stream. No.
I mean, we could do a live stream,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't really work because our time zone is kind of unique in relation to most of our audience.
You couldn't edit
Where
any of my
Where is most
ideas.
of our audience, by the way? Where are they?
I think statistically from United States.
Yeah, but
Really?
actually, we have a question for you. Where are you from?
Yeah, that's a
because
good
we
one.
want to know.
Yeah, comment down below. Where are you from? We want to know.
Thank you for watching and being patient with us.
Auf Wiedersehen, goodbye. Goodbye.
The end.
I stepped in a mug.
Don't step in a mug!